Okay, we'll go ahead and get started here. What we should probably do, we start in the back or the front?
The back.
Okay.
Front.
Well, we said the back first. Okay. Name a phylum. Periphery. Name a phylum. Okay, what are we studying now? What phylum? Okay, mollusca, that is a phylum. What is a third one? Cnidarians, okay, or Cnidaria. Okay. Give, this decided to turn on again. Give a characteristic of the, a characteristic of a Cnidarian. They got tentacles, okay? Name a characteristic of a mollusk. What about on Monday? What was rather obvious with what we did? Oh, well, close. I mean, how are the gills protected? What's on the outside? A shell, okay? So then, a characteristic of a sponge. They have an osculum, okay? So, over here now, we'll go ahead and say, name another characteristic of a Cnidarian. Your lab partner gave tentacles.
Nerves.
Not all of them, but yeah, that is a characteristic because when we talk about jellyfish, why was it such a hallmark of evolution when it comes to... Yeah, because up until that point, sponges don't move. Cnidarians can and do. Then name a class of mollusks.
Mollusks. Bivalve.
Right. And you didn't even look. And you didn't look down. Okay? So we keep going over the... Oh, we skipped one. Oh, we skipped two. Okay?
I'll go first.
So... Give a second characteristic of the phylum Mollusca, because shell was one. Dallin, your voice has changed. Yeah, it is a radula. Okay. That's
He's making fun of me now.
That's actually a pretty good clue because the head is the anterior region, which means where some tactile organs are found, whether it's for sight, smell, taste. What would be inside its mouth that would help with taste?
Tongue.
Yeah, and what's a better word for tongue in this case? We just told you. Your teammate just told you.
You're like the opposite of a
Radula, okay? Then another characteristic of Cnidarians. Not tentacles, not movement.
venomous. Thank you, buddy.
Your Julian or Juju, whichever, your voice has changed. They've got radial symmetry. That's right. Okay. So moving forward then, from where we left off with yesterday, now whether this thing has gremlins in it for some reason, is this where we left off with?
What's that?
Okay. one of the aspects that we talked about this, okay? When these longitudinal muscles contract, not only does it provide movement, because it does, but it has something to do with blood sinuses as well. So what can we presume when this contraction takes place? Why is this important that when these muscles contract, what do I have to do with blood? Because remember, what type of circulation do these animals have? It's open, okay? So since it's open, it's not pressurized. So that means these animals do not have what vessel structure? They do not have capillaries. So if they don't have capillaries, blood just flows to an open area, and what would that be called? In human terms, it's in the skull, it's behind your eyes. What would these be called? They can become infected. Sinuses. So when blood flows to a sinus, or just an open area, because there's no pressure, how does that get back into the bloodstream? Well, that happens when these muscles contract. It squeezes and pushes the blood forward then. Okay. Speaking of moving forward, that's what we're going to do today. And here we see our feeding and digestion with bivalves, which means, of course, clams or bivalvia. Because this feeding in bivalves is something that you're going to want to be able to describe. Are we past this already? You probably told me that. I think you told me. Okay. Okay. So this is where I was wondering why, okay, we're just sitting here. Maybe we're just absorbing this like a peripherin. And we've perhaps heard that before. So when we look at this, you might be pondering this point here and say, now, wait a minute, these animals are more advanced than this. And I would agree, but we're not quite done finishing talking about this yet. So there's a lot of aspects that go into this. We could say it's a vague term when we're talking about digestion, okay? So in human terms, okay, our McRib here, sandwich, okay? So what would you guess is the major nutrient that you find within this entire meal? Is it carbohydrates, proteins, lipids and fats, or nucleic acids? There's actually two of them. Protein is one, and carbohydrates is the other. So what is your source of proteins then? The McRib itself, because that is a meat product. Now, whether it comes from bovine, cattle, swine / pigs, I don't know. What would your guess be? I would say probably pigs, but I really don't know. Okay? No, I see what you're laughing. I really don't know. It could be anything. No, I really don't know if it's pigs or cattle. Okay? But I understand why you're laughing. Okay? All right? So if that's the source of protein, you correctly said carbohydrates. Why would that be? Yeah, I was going to say, because what is it on? It's on a bun. And that would be a bread product which means it's a lot of glucose units hooked together and makes a complex molecule called starch. And that's what you consume when it comes to pasta and bread. Okay, let's make sure we get the chair down. And then,
Barbecue sauce.
sorry, what?
What about the barbecue sauce?
Well,
So many nutrients in there.
I would say probably has a sweet taste to it, so we know there's sugar in there. And it's probably a little bit of an emulsion, so it probably has a little bit of fat molecules in it. So I've never had anybody ask that before. So, right. Okay. So where is the digestion taking place in humans? Because it's a really vague term. Where does it start? It starts in the stomach. Now, the reason we say that digestion is a vague term, yes, it begins in the stomach, but what can you specifically say when it comes to digestion? Is it breaking things down or is it absorbing materials? It's actually both. Okay?
What about your hand is where it starts?
What about the
Look at
plate?
your mouth. That's where you start breaking it down.
Yeah, but your hand is
Certain parts inside the mouth, yes. That is true. Okay.
Your hand is giving it
So back to this. So this intracellular digestion we're talking about, okay, inside the digestive gland. It doesn't have a stomach, but it does have an intestine. So that's why we wanted to make that correlation. Do we say, where does this digestion take place? Is it the absorption or is it the breaking down? It's actually both. So in this digestive gland, once we break that down, we send it to an intestine to where it can then be absorbed and then pumped through the rest of the body. Oh, come on here. Okay. Once we get to the end of this, that would be a good place to stop. I agree. Which means I have a paper that I'm going to be handing out that as of right now, it says due 10/31, which is a week from today. That is just our best guess. And for some of you who have been in this class long enough, whether it's freshman, sophomore, junior, and sometimes even all 4 years with being a senior, these due dates do not get shorter. Okay? In other words, that bottom number doesn't get smaller. It won't be 30 or 29. It'll either go to November 1st, which is 11/1, or maybe 11/4, if that's Tuesday, maybe. But the important thing is we like to get some of this content out so you can get started, so it's something that you can slowly work at. So you have the option, work on these, don't work on these, but I think a lot of you would agree you would like to take advantage of this time. Tomorrow, vocabulary evaluation over this chapter. You have the terms, so then we will start fresh with this on Monday. So yes, the rest of the time is yours. So I'll hand these out. Vocabulary evaluation tomorrow. We'll catch up to you next time.